let's say how life is to be governed according to the philosophy of common humanity mission. Life is best lived and governed through the principles of human development, and that is the human capacity to understand. The first faculty that has been given to us is the ability to be able to reason with one another. And the material to build on our humanity is character, and that is the outgrowth of one's humanity, and that is to be evangelized, yes, spread abroad, yes, and in that human development, it is the restoration to restore credibility, social maturity, social understanding, because out of understanding comes consciousness. And one thing I realized that people, when it comes to learning, that you can have knowledge and and have exposure, but yet when you know that you're learning is how you deal with the interruptions of life. Yes. And people mistake knowledge for understanding. Yes, you have to understand how to appropriately use that knowledge, because it is known that there's a lot of transformation, but a lot of information, I should say, but less transformation. Yes. And then that possibly could lead to what I call social solidarity. Yes. And then human beings are not merely consumers of material goods. Yes, followers of ideology, because we deal with ideological restraints. Yes. Or participants in endless social conflict. To me, conflict is like you trying to con an image that you want to project. Yes. And we are developing beings. We are continuing to develop, endowed, and we know that in the Constitution of America it said we are endowed with unalienable rights. I forgot the term in which they use, but it's an endowment. With the capacity to learn, grow, reason, create, cooperate. Because I've learned that adequate cooperation leads to proper communication, and that's how you effectively coordinate your power. Yes. This could take on something that seemed to be foreign or alien, to humans, only because when humans arrived, they did not have any prior memory or knowledge of anything. So yes, it's quite interesting. Anyone who's in the science field can look at that and check that out, because no one has a monopoly on intelligence. Yes, to cooperate and contribute. If you look at all existence, all life form, it is here to make a contribution. Yes, to contribute to the ecology of the environment. Chica Diop says you can tell. Once you throw off the ecology of the environment, one's intellectual aptitude for learning becomes difficult. But this contribution is to the betterment of humanity. Therefore, the purpose of life is not simply to acquire possessions, gain power, or dominate others, but to cultivate the qualities that support meaningful and productive living. You will read something in the theological sense or biblical sense or the religious sense. It says be fruitful and multiply, and some will equate that to sex. No, it's about being productive, because the mind at its best is to be productive. That which occupies the mind conditions the mind. That's just the nature of the mind. Now we're getting into a programming part, or a programming system of the mind and the way people think, and I believe Elijah Muhammad said that vision stems from the source of one's thinking. Yes. Likewise, life is governed by principles that promote human dignity, self-worth, accountability, and social responsibility. Good governance begins with self-governance. Al Manzur said you can teach people other languages, but you can't teach them how to govern. That they must learn for themselves. Before individuals is the sum total of the whole. And now you're dealing with coherency now. We're dealing with cognitive functioning. Or you can deal with some cognitive impairment. Yes, cognitive. Individuals can effectively. In doing so, to make the best decision is to make an effective decision. Yes. This contribution to families, organizations, communities, nations, they must develop the capacity to manage their own thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors. Yes. From this perspective, now, before there is perspective, perception precedes perspective. Once your perception changed, then your perspective changed. Yes. A human-centered approach to governance seeks restoration rather than punishment. Yes. Yet reward and punishment is built right within our own nature as humans. Yes. Development rather than dependency. I learned there's 3 phases of development: dependency, independency, and interdependency. I learned that from Imam Muhammad Muhammad. Rather than dependencies. Cooperation rather than domination, and solidarity rather than division. It recognizes the best form of recognition is to become a friend again to yourself. It's called reconciliation. The people thrive when they are encouraged to discover their values, develop their abilities, and participate in meaningfully in the life of their communities. One thing I realize is this here is that if anyone that is going off straight, it is a misalignment, and they have not yet found meaning in life. You must find meaning in life. Therefore, the mission is to promote the value of self-worth. Yes. The highest form of expression. Yes. The highest form of expression of governance is not control over the people, but to cultivate the conditions that allow people to become their best selves. Yes, and I believe it's ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, whatever word you want to use. It was called the cultivation system. Yes, cultivate. Yes, because the mandate is to cultivate the potential of knowledge that is in us all. The best selves. When understanding is present, and one thing I realized about, we can respect the presence of literature that has been written hundreds of thousands or whatever years ago, but yet we can't respect each other's presence. And we know that the present means a gift, so we deal with what we call the here and now. Yes, tolerance becomes possible in understanding when understanding is present. And some would call it in the clinical field or behavioral health field, whatever you want to call it. They call that DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. Dr. King said that we need to participate in dialogue rather than monologue. And that could be an indigenous way of thinking rather than a clinical term of thinking that people come up with to identify something or diagnose something and identify with that in order to try to help people or to make money off of it. Yes. When tolerance is practiced, mature temperament develops. When temperament develops, confidence emerges. Yes. When confidence emerges, respect is established. We're still talking about being human-centered and human development. Yes. Respect is established. When respect is established, social credibility is restored. From social credibility comes diversity. From diversity comes coherence. From coherence and ultimately solidarity. Therefore, life is to be lived with purpose, governed with wisdom. It is to be directed toward the advancement of human potential and the preservation of human dignity. And if you notice what the people call the civil rights movement, people were saying, I am a man. Blacks were saying, I am a man. In other words, I am human. And people says, I am human. Yes, I am human. Yes. You just don't say that you're human. It's how you live your life in how you treat yourself as well as how we treat one another with human dignities. Yes. Yes, and I don't want to get into the living conditions, but as well. But in this way, individuals and communities can move beyond confusion. Someone says he or she is not he is not an author of confusion. Move beyond confusion. That's what we want to do. Move beyond confusion, conflict, and fragmentation toward a more mature, coherent, humane society. You think about that. Yes. How life is to be lived and governed according to Common Humanity Mission, Inc. Reverend Wally Moore, Kevin Patrick.